President Obama is poised to push for immigration reform. He's recently pledged, as of a couple weeks ago, that he is looking for the debate to start at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, and to move legislation as quickly as possible. Now, the difficulty in this is that he's got a lot of very big and complicated issues already on the roster, namely healthcare reform, energy, and immigration is a big and complicated issue as well. There are many moving parts and different areas of agreement and disagreement across the aisle. This is a group that represents the failure of a lot of our policies, but it also represents challenges to our country and our communities and our neighborhoods in ways that we haven't seen before. And one of those big challenges is that immigrants used to settle in just a handful of cities, big metropolitan areas, mostly, on the East Coast or the West Coast. And now immigrants in the last 10 years or so have dispersed to many, many new areas across the country. So there are a lot of communities that are now dealing with immigrants and immigration in a way that they didn't have to before. So we have a situation now where a lot of local communities, cities, counties, suburbs, rural areas have seen changes in their communities and are looking for ways to either accommodate or manage immigrants on the ground. We've seen, in particular, some of the highest growth regions have been in metropolitan areas in southeastern states. So these states, like Tennessee and North Carolina and Georgia, traditional areas with black and white populations, no immigrants to speak of for most of their history. Now we see in places like Raleigh and Durham, in Atlanta, in Nashville, a lot of immigrants have been settling there over the last 10 years or so. And so the response has been varied in these places, but in general, immigrants were moving to these areas because of job opportunities, number one. Number two, they had some idea, some information on quality of life and cost of living in these places, and saw opportunities for a new life in a new place. And third, the appeal of these places were not just for immigrants, but a lot of people were moving to these places domestically, U.S.-born Americans as well as immigrants. Households tend to be complex. They tend to include people with varying legal statuses, including the undocumented, and so a measure, a program, a legalization program that could be inclusive would be less harmful for families, and particularly for children and youth who have lived here their whole lives.